talk tonight, Miss Cat?
I'm ready. Let's see if I can
Yes,
find me some of
indeed.
that candy. For
Man.
some reason, it wants something. Somebody just text something. Did you see it?
Mm-mm.
It says for some reason it wants something. Look
Mm.
on the text stream.
Probably connect.
You see it?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Let me. Mm.
Good evening. Man, uh, pardon the technical difficulties and the delay on this evening. Good evening, family. Welcome back to another Roundtable Talk Show on the Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. Soon to be the Knowledge is Power Network. So, definitely keep your eye out for that as we strengthen our engagement across all platforms. So, if you don't know, now you know. I'm your host, Christopher Unk Jones, and this is again, like I said, another Roundtable Talk Show. Um, Coming to you live, and, and I just want to let y'all know tonight's episode is called "The Grid and Water is for Sale." The grid and water is for sale. AI data centers raising power demand, decreasing water supply, and who gets stuck with the bill. I just definitely want you to know because somebody got to pay it. Somebody got to pay it. This is not, I want you to know right now, from the start, a anti technology episode. That's not what we're here for on this evening. So get that out your heart, get that out your mind, because I could just tell the energy from some of the individuals that I saw when when the graphics hit YouTube, Dr. Campbell. Again, this is not an anti AI episode. I have some colleagues and friends, family members in my circle that use AI. So it's not against AI. This is not an episode where we sit around acting like artificial intelligence has no use, no value, no future, no place in the world, right? And so that is not what we're gonna do. That's not what we talk about because tonight we are asking who is paying for the future. That's that's what I want to know. Who's paying for the future?
Mm.
Um, because every time, and I do mean every time, politicians, developers, utility companies, and tech companies or corporations say innovation, I hear a second question. I don't know if y'all do, but I do. Innovation for who? Right? When they say development or economic development, uh, I want to know who gets developed. I want to know how many, how long, how many local individuals and at what rate wage do they get paid? Since you say jobs, they quick to say, "Oh, this is gonna bring so many jobs to the area." When they say tax incentives, I want to know what the public is giving away. You know, um, when they say grid capacity. I want to know whose power bill, may feel it because again, like I said when we first started, somebody got to pay it, and it's obviously not them, and them is the data center. or the people funding the data center outside of its utilities like lights and water. When they say, I want to know, you know, when they say land use, I want to know like whose land, like who land you talking about, and they always come with that cliche when Dr. Campbell, oh, just trust us. We got it. We got it. We'll make sure we take care of you. I want to know why the deal cannot be explained plainly and allow the people that live in the city to give a collective response, not picking us off one by one, right? Because AI doesn't live in the clouds. It don't just store on your phone. The cloud has an address, and it ain't an IP. The cloud has a water bill or a water line. The cloud has, a land footprint. The cloud has tax paperwork, EIN maybe. The cloud has public infrastructure, roads, streets that we paid for as taxpayers, whether you realize it or not. So tonight we are not admitting uh, that we don't admire the future or being in the future, if you will. Um, we're checking the invoice though. We definitely want to check the invoice because if the grid and water are for sale, I want to know who sold them. I want to know who signed off on it, who was positioned, or what was the promise, what was hidden, who know the
Who holding the
benefits.
bag?
Right, right, right. Who gets stuck with the bill when the cameras leave and the ribbon cutting ceremony is finished? Tonight we're working, of course, in three shots. Dr. Campbell, I'm gonna try to dress some up. They straight, but I'm gonna put a little tahini on the rim, or a little flavor on the rim, a little something, something. But for our guest, round one is the future ain't free. The future ain't free for nobody. I just want you to know it. Round two is who gets the benefit, who gets the burden. Round three is check the invoice. And then before we close, I'm definitely asking my guest co-hosts to definitely, do what my crew do. Give us something that's gonna last us for the rest of the week. Um, and of course, I hope that by the end of this, we're able to give our neighbors some weapons, right, of civic defense, if you will,
Uh-oh.
that brings about questions, demand, public records requests, consent standards, because what we see in other areas when it comes to data centers is not far from where you live. I just want you to know, especially if you've noticed acreage between you and the nearest store that you have. So be cognizant, be cautious about what's being developed around you. So let's get this work, Dr. Campbell. Um, I'm sure the rest of the crew might tip in, but if not, we're gonna be good and tipsy. I promise. First up, my sister, my big sister, by the way, Dr. Catherine Campbell. Say good evening to the people.
Good evening, people.
Yes, indeed, she is precision. She cuts through the noise, the branding, and here's what public is being trained not to question. I just want you to know, um, sis, tonight that clean read, I'm definitely gonna need that because innovation as they say, can become a sedative if people stop asking what it costs. I just want you to know. So, welcome to the table, big sis. Good evening, Dr. Campbell. Of
Thank
course, you know my big brother, Perry Busby. He is the writer, analyst, receipt puller, the pattern tracker. Perry is, you know, the numbers puller, the incentive finder. You know, the land use. He definitely, I definitely need him in here on this evening. But even if not, like I said, we gonna be good tips. Yeah. um, so I'm hoping that he tips in, and I hope all is well with him. To our host, make sure that our crew is not tucked off in the background somewhere. Perry, when you get in here, man, don't come in here sounding like Barry White, little brother. Of course, you
you.
know my little brother Dustin Dustin Harris, veteran straight shooter, receipt puller, ground level truth teller. Dustin brings uh things to the household, the taxpayer, the ratepayer, the neighbor, right? The farmer, the worker, especially with him working and volunteering around the 4-H that we got that his children are involved in. And so he's the person who feel the cost will be before what the whatever the benefit or the claimed benefit. So Dustin, if you come in here, man, I already done set the table for you, man. I'm just letting you know. And of course, if you want to tip in on the table, you want to sit around the table with us, definitely reach out to our platform host. Let them know that you are trying to be on the Roundtable Talk Show, and we'll definitely suit you up. Make sure that your stomach can handle these good old shots. So, without further ado, um, I just want you to know tonight is not AI scary. Tonight is who pays for AI's appetite.
Mm.
Round one, shot. Round one. The future ain't free. That's the shots. That's what's in that cup. Now, what's around that cup, Dr. Campbell?
Go with that.
What's around that cup is innovation, innovation branding, public resources, and the cost nobody wants to lead with. Just so you know, that's what's around our the brim of our cup. Round one starts with the sales pitch. I just want you to know they call it innovation, like I said. They call it progress, modernization, competitiveness. They say we have to stay ahead, like we in a race to the moon again. And they say America could not fall behind. And here it is, we did last in education. Stop playing. They say AI is the future, and that's all fine, y'all. I just want y'all to know. But the future still plugs into somebody's grid. If it don't, tell me I'm lying. The future still cools itself with somebody's water. The future still sits on somebody's land, uses somebody's tax break, or even that. Don't even ask for it. They just get it. How about it?
Mm.
The future still needs substations, transmissions, zoning. So that comes from your members of council or your commissioners, your county commissioners. Road access, which also, if you're paying for it, comes from your city council and your county commissioners. All right, cooling systems, backup generation, public incentives, and political blessing. Because, like I said, all of that comes through political blessings. So don't tell me the future is weightless. Please don't play in my face. It could, because it is not. And data centers for Dagum show may not look like refineries. They may not smell like chemical plants. They may not smoke like factories, or consume like infrastructures, right? But when something, I just want you to know, when something consumes at the scale that data centers are, the public has the right to question and ask a grown folk question. How much power you need? How much power you talk about? How much water, land? How many real jobs you sitting up here talking about? I'm not talking about the construction and then after the construction, you got six people that work for that. What? That's not jobs. How much tax relief you talk about we gotta give you? For how long we gotta give it to you? You know, uh, what's the public cost, and not just monetarily, environmentally as well. Because what's the private profit of all the things that we have to go through? What's the strain on the ratepayer? You know, all those kinds of questions. I definitely hope we can definitely bubble up around this particular table, and you could definitely um dialogue about around yours. So, Dr. Campbell, here's your shot.
Thank you.
When people hear AI infrastructure, what part of the real cost are they being encouraged not to think about?
Uh, they're being encouraged not to think about the electricity and the cooling.
Mm.
Nobody pictures the giant, screaming hot warehouses full of servers guzzling power like small cities.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
imagine the cloud instead of the massive water bills and the coal plants required to keep those chips from melting into slag. That's
Right.
the bill that
Right.
they're hiding behind the magic.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Dr. Campbell. That's it. That's it. They
Mhm.
want us impressed before we are informed. They want
Exactly.
us thinking about convenience, speed, apps, tools, and shiny language. But they don't want to tell us, you know, sitting what's sitting with the appetite, what the appetite call for. You know what I'm saying? What's on
Mm.
the menu? And it's clearly us in a larger form than we even think. It's not just buildings, it's our country harvesting information about us.
It's larger than we imagine. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. The guest shot. What hits us harder in this story? The electricity pressure? Is it the water strain? Or the fact that the public is already saying, you know, they don't trust this alleged industry boom? And I definitely want our guests to engage with that question, um, you know, around the table. Definitely think about that. Ask, your family members, to the listeners and the viewers, what hits us hardest in this particular scenario, in this particular happening. The electricity pressure, the water strain, because some cities are drying up. Some individuals have noticed spikes in their electrical bills, or the fact that the public is already saying that we don't trust this particular industry or boom of industry, because especially here in the United States, we are the largest country that has data centers. And
So,
the question should definitely be like, why? But go ahead, Dr. Campbell.
so honestly, it's the distrust. The electricity and the water are just mad. we can measure those problems. But the public already checking out before the boom even peaks. That's the real
Absolutely.
gut punch because if
Mm-hmm.
people don't trust it, they won't support it, they'll fight it, and then all that power and water gets spent on something nobody asked for. That's the waste. That's the waste that actually stings.
I totally agree. Excuse me. I totally agree, Dr. Campbell. The distrust is not ignorance, it's memory. Communities have heard trust us before. I mean, they heard it before landfills, before industrial expansions, before tax abatements, before zoning changes, before redevelopment or urban development, or what they call in urban renewal, right? That's what it's called now. Urban
Mm,
renewal. Before utility increases. So when people say, hold up, hold up, hold up, wait. This is not fear of the future. This is experience talking. Especially individuals that's in around and around those spaces, and they've noticed not only their utilities increasing, but their property value decrease. Hmm. Perry, you came in right on time for that shot. I told y'all Barry White Liberty was gonna come in here. What's going
Good
on, Perry?
evening, good evening, good
What's
evening.
up, Dustin Liberty, man? I told him y'all was coming in here. Y'all had that conversation and y'all sleep. I know it. No, just kidding. Man, Perry, man, your shot is what are the strongest um receipts that is not just a tech story, but a public resource and public burden story.
um, the biggest receipt um that we see is that from top to bottom, these data centers are a big drain, not just in terms of the public resources. They're a drain in terms of earth minerals,
Mm,
earth metals,
mm,
uh, and we're just not talking about the steel that makes the buildings. We're talking about the components that make up all of the servers and the electronics within that. I mean, the excavation that is going on within the motherland, within China, within many of these other countries in terms of the earth's precious metals. We already know that leads to climate control issues,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Environmental impact.
which is just the latest. Now that we begin to look at begin to then look at the implementation, now it is more of an energy. It's the energy and the water and the carbon and all of the other precious energy resources to help keep these centers alive. And so yeah, when you look at the output, what they've taken from the earth and then the people and then what it imposes back on the people,
Mm,
it's a net negative either way. So
mm,
all the receipts about supposed gains are not even taken into the are not even taken into account all the precious amounts of resources it has extracted, and then the toxins and loss of life.
Hmm.
I mean, when you begin to look at the populations of the people around these data centers, they have seen what is it, the longevity, life longevity
Mm-hmm.
in those communities began to decrease.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
where's the game?
Yeah. 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 You're absolutely correct. The receipts are not, like you said, not just power, water, land, and incentives that they try to, bombard us with. That is public resource trail, right?
Right.
If data centers are taking, you know, a larger share of electricity, that's not just a tech issue, that's a grid issue. And what it costs or takes to create that increase of electricity, right? And so those
Mm-hmm.
resources, like you said, those natural elements that it takes to create or to power and generate electricity, whether it's dams and all that other stuff, that's a grid issue. If water use is rising, all individuals have noticed uh aquifers have collapsed or dried up, like natural
Mm-hmm.
aquifers have dried up. That's, that is a resource issue. If like you said, communities are asking about, you know sustainability, health, life expectancy, land pressure, utility costs, and tax breaks, that's not a anti-tech paranoia.
Mm-hmm.
That's the public burden and awareness, right? It's, even when you go to court, most of the times it's the burden of, the people that are being prosecuted to show, especially here in this country, to show that, these things that are going on are atrocious to your life and liberty here in this country. And so, you know when a federal energy regulator or regulators are pushing grid operators to revisit the rules for large users, that means the stress is not theoretical anymore. The life expectancy of the people in this particular area isn't theoretical anymore. It's an impact that wasn't taken into consideration. That is physical infrastructure. And if it is an infrastructure issue, uh, then the people affected by it need at least a voice, Perry, at least a seat before the deal is signed, not after. And that's what we're noticing. These spaces that acres, and I mean acres, that were once vacant land at one time, is now, a prep station for a data center. Some of these historic buildings are being acquisitioned. Be careful, Beaumont, because your whole downtown is empty with vacant historic buildings. And those buildings have been turned into, you guessed it, data centers. And they're using your infrastructure for a little of nothing. And you tell me how many jobs goes into watching a computer do what a computer's supposed to do. Don't worry. I'll wait, because if it crashed, they could send a signal to it from their house to restart, reboot, and realign itself. Make that, never mind. Never mind. I could work on, if I could work on a Microsoft Words document on my PC today and pull it, that same document up on my phone tomorrow. Uh Anyway, Dustin, your shot, man. At what point did we or do we stop calling this innovation and start asking who is being asked to sacrifice for it?
Let me find my notes. My notes got a little shuffled.
I ain't mad at you, brother. Look like you went wash your beard.
Nah, I'm going coming over a little sickness, so after this, I'm hitting my sauna and then call it a night.
Yeah,
It's
man.
my
Get better.
once in a summer cold. It always get me once.
Man, I'm glad it got you after South End Day. I just want to know I was good. It was good to see you, brother.
It
Indeed.
was.
But for me, the ones who sacrifice is the ones who's not getting paid, as always,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because the local community face heavy sacrificial burdens regarding resources being depleted, grid instability, and quality of life, such as high electrical bills,
Mm-hmm.
power grid reliability risk. Because a freeze or too hot, it's gonna go down anyway. So
Correct.
add a data to that, and it's gonna go down faster. Strained water resources, because apparently them things drink like fishes. Just ask Corpus Christi.
Mm.
Environmental and noise pollution, because apparently they toxic to everything around them: air, grass, ground, water, whatever it is, it's gonna mess it up. But
Children.
apparently data is more important than nature.
Mm.
Hmm. 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 So yeah, we ask now. I definitely a- agree, brother. We have to ask now, like, what you know, innovation um are you talking about bringing into our area, especially if it's not after our water or dried up? Because I live in Southeast Texas where we endure droughts, believe it or not, in again Southeast Texas. So I could just imagine what West Texas is enduring and other areas across this country are enduring, especially westward from here. When it comes to drought ridden seasons, right? And so we don't want to know what a company got to say after all of that has happened. We being rezoned. I remember Dr. Campbell saying a little while ago, hey, they rezoning this particular area for light industrial, heavy, for light industrial, light commercial, um, you know, development. And whether we realize it or not, that's what data centers are considered to be light industrial. So again, and I could just imagine what's going on in Houston because there is no zoning when it comes to their area. You could be living right next to a data center and nothing you can do about it because they bought the property, whether it was zone residential or commercial. First come the promises, y'all. Then comes the pressure. After that comes the bills. So before commitment, before we even get hyped up about what they talking about bringing into our community as far as jobs, as far as technology upgrades. Oh, we'll put Wi-Fi nodes in your parks. We'll put them around your libraries. We'll put them. You'll be able to use free Wi-Fi outside of your schools and outside of your city government offices. Um, because I mean, that's what they good for. That's what they known for. Telling you that your infrastructure ain't boo boo to suck you drive all your resources. Again, if the company needs public resources, the public gets to ask public questions. That's not anti-progress, that's stewardship. Period. Somebody pull me up.
If these companies want to build the future on our land, our water, and our grid, why should the public not? Hmm, why should the public not? Uh, what they're really taking and what they're really leaving behind. Why should the public not know what they're really taking and what they're leaving behind?
Um, my shot spicy.
Bring it all.
I mean, she shook it 3 times. There you go. Now the public should definitely ask because the public is the one being leaned on, loaned on, if you will. Um, that that's it.
The public
I
deserves an
mean,
answer.
right,
Transparency is not a favor.
right. They're not building the future in thin air, y'all. I just want y'all to know that that's not being built in thin air. Um, they're building it on somebody's land, in somebody's backyard, or like I said, historic office building in their
Yeah,
old downtown.
yeah. I think
They are
it's
building.
no.
Go
I
ahead.
was just saying. I think it's definitely a part where the community has to have a say. And being here in Arizona, I have seen a lot of public input. It wasn't invited input. It was public input that was imposed or public input
Mm,
that was demanded.
mm,
Uh, and in some cases, well, especially in terms of the data centers, uh, I've seen city council members uh, be removed from their positions over this. There are cases of that. So, um, but more than anything, when you begin to look at this and you understand how technology brands itself in a capitalist way, it
hmm,
uses uh it really relies on a community and especially a leadership that does not have an idea or is seeking to understand uh pros and cons or even doing any feasibility study.
mm-hmm,
Most of these data
mm-hmm,
centers come in and it's always a package deal. They're telling you about how many jobs they're going to add, even though those are primarily only construction jobs
mm-hmm,
that are going to only last for a season. They pretty much come in with privatized construction already built in, and so there's very little uh, financial opportunity for subs to take a part. And where there are subs, there you know the revenue is very small.
mm-hmm,
So again, they begin to rely on I think community leaders in those small towns that think that they're bringing something, but in the end find out that they had their pockets swiped, you know, right in front of them.
right in front of them. right in front of 'em. Yeah, like I said, they build on somebody's land with somebody's water through somebody's grid under somebody's tax policy that was approved by somebody's elected official, um, adjacent to somebody's neighborhood, inside somebody's political jurisdiction, and sometimes with somebody's public subsidy. So yeah, the public should ask what they are taking, and what they are leaving behind, especially for an, a pop up industry that we don't know how long this boom gonna last, right?
They shouldn't just ask, they should actually demand a full accounting. And
Hmm.
without that accountability, they really shouldn't get access.
Period. Because too many projects come into communities with a gold ticket promising, you know, the greatest, and leave behind a public burden. They take the land, they take the water, the power capacity, the tax incentive, political photos. They take them as much as they possibly can. Um, and like Perry alluded to, they take your politician for a season on particular trips, riding first class, flying first class, or VIP seats, or riding on a yacht. They take the development credit as well because they knew, oh well, we were able to do that for y'all. Then the people get told, be grateful for being near the future. No, proximity to the future is not ownership, y'all. That's not the future. If future needs our grid, we need rate pay, payer protection. If the future needs our water, we need guarantees. Okay, you need our water. Look, we live on the Gulf Coast. You're gonna desalinate it, pump it into our system, and then you can buy it from us. How about it? If not, I'm sorry, you can't come here. So in your data center has to be a desalination plant that does something with your waste, where you sell your waste and we'll take your salt because we can sell your salt. No, we don't don't tell me you're gonna come up in here and, just like Perry say, all you got is 6 jobs and those are janitorial. Oh, that's all you got people doing is walking around sweeping and cleaning in a white bunny suit with a clown mask on, trying to make sure they don't short circuit none of them expensive boards Dr. Campbell mentioned to you about not too long ago. That's created with them same natural minerals that Perry said to y'all that's being extracted from your land, making your vegetation sick, making your children sick, making your land sick. Again, like I said, I'm not anti AI. I'm not anti whatever they want to call it. But I am definitely anti sellout. I am that. I'm definitely anti sellout. I'm definitely anti secret deal. I'm definitely anti surveillance on me. I'm 100% against that because I know that's why y'all got so many data centers spaced about throughout this entire country, is so that you could surveil the American people. And I want to also let you know that I am 100% anti public burden with private benefits. I am that. I am anti leaders using words like innovation to line their pockets to make people think, or make working people think and feel small for asking the obvious questions about not only their health, but their income, their property investments. Because again, like I said, your property values are going to decrease because the same people that you put in that office going to vote to decrease the property value. How about it? How about it? Check question number one. Let's make it plain. What concerns you most about the AI data center boom? Put a one in the chat if it's high water bills. Put a two in the chat if it's water strain. Put a three in the chat if it's land use and local disruption. Put a four in the chat if it's corporate tax breaks and secrecy. And put a five in the chat for all of it, every last one of them. Drop your number. Go ahead, do that right now. That's your chat question number one. I'm supposed to drop that in the chat. Round table question number one. When private projects lean on public power and public water, who should get the first say? The corporations or the communities? Dr. Campbell, you have the floor.
The communities, full stop. Not because corporations are evil, but because they're guests, and guests don't get to rewrite the house rules. Here's the reality: communities live with consequences for decades. Corporations can pack up and leave in 10 years when the tax breaks expire. Communities paid for that grid and that water infrastructure over the generations. Corporations just showed up and plugged in.
Hmm.
Communities have kids, farms, small businesses, and retirees who all depend on the same resources.
Mm-hmm.
Corporations have shareholders. So the first say isn't a negotiation, it's a veto.
Hmm.
If the community says no, then that should be the end of it. Not let's talk, not let's compromise on the bare minimum. No, you want to build here. Great. You want to build here? Great. But you start by answering to the people who actually live here, not the other way around. That's not anti business. That's just basic respect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Perry, you got the floor.
Well, in fact, my when I answered previously, I thought we was already on this question, so that's why I was talking so about the community and the effort that they laid out. But I agree with Dr. Campbell. The community should have a say, and just to add on to that, it's not that they should uh, be in the first position to say something. They have to demand to be in that position, because what we're finding out that a lot of times by the time the community is finding out about these deals are at
Mm-hmm.
least more than halfway complete. They're at the point that they're ready to put some ink on a dotted line, and now the community is now just finding out about it. And then we hear all of a sudden, oh, well, no, this is a study, or this is, not a proposed plan. But you begin to find out that they begin to step those things back, um, especially in the terms of water rights, which is now becoming a precious commodity in many communities. And then when you add on in terms of Texas and ERCOT and how power is distributed in Texas, that adds another layer of complexity. Even so, now that a lot of these data centers are now getting into private agreements with the power,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with the energy companies themselves to build their own power plant, which now becomes a competitor to the power consumption for that community. And so, who do you think the energy company is going to, you know, listen to more, uh, especially when they have this binding contract and the dollars are flowing between, good, good beneficial friends.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the community now really has a lot on his hand now because we have to now look at leaders who are not just looking at this from a old paradigm of job creation or as you say economic development.
Mm-hmm.
Explain
Mm-hmm.
what you mean by development and what economics are we talking about, and how does that economic impact divest itself, and where is the impact you know throughout the whole community. So
Yeah. Yeah. Dustin, you have the floor.
I feel it should be a two-part voting system for approval. It should first have to be voted on at the state level to where all of us as citizens of that state vote to even let it come across that border.
Mm-hmm.
And just so happens if it's approved statewide, it should come down to the individual cities where they
Mm-hmm.
have to have another vote to see if that data center could be built there. If you
Mm-hmm.
could pass those two, hey, all power to you. But I doubt you will.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, like, I have to agree with every one of y'all because, again, from what I'm hearing, is the community gets the first say. Period.
Sure.
Not the last comment, not a 2 or 3 minute public hearing for a deal that is already shaped, like you said, right? Not a slick side check after the incentives are already negotiated. First say, because corporations can restructure, they can sell, they can merge, right? They can automate. I've even seen ports go to automation. So they can relocate. Then community stays, the land stays, the water system stays, the grid stays, the public bill stays. So community consent matters, not community notification, like you said, Dr. Campbell. Consent, and consent without full information is not consent. That's coercion.
Mm.
That's m- managed approval. Since since we like to let people know how you being managed out here,
Mm.
if a data center wants to come into a community, answer they should be able to answer 4 questions plainly, or we should be able to ask them 4 questions directly. What do you consume? What do you cost? What do you contribute? And what protections do the people? And I do mean the people. If your promise does not match reality, if those answers are nowhere near clear and concise with the expectations of the community, they have not earned the community's yes. I just want you to know that. Round two. Who gets the benefit? Who gets the burden? That's the shot for this round. Um, what's on the brim of this cup, y'all? I don't know if y'all taste that when y'all do y'all shot back. There was something on the brim, but what's on the brim of this cup, y'all, is jobs, tax breaks, local bills, and the uneven math of progress. I definitely want y'all to know, because some people act like we don't know our math. Um, there is a, I guess, cliche saying when most industries enter into our communities. But I would definitely say these are some things that nobody likes to calculate honestly, right? Who gets the benefit? Who gets the burden? Because economic development always sounds good when the promise is general. And I even made the statement in a meeting we had on last evening. We all want something until we find out that after it's complete, it does not serve us any good, right? It may be good for a personal issue that we got in house, but the overall resolve, the governmental resolve, is not what your taste buds was ready for. So, you know, economic development always sounds good when the promise is general. It jobs, growth, investment, tax base, modernization, competitiveness, a city of innovation, you know? But the math changes when you separate who gets what. The company gets the facility, the developer gets the deal, the landowner may get paid, maybe, but they gonna get bought out. They're not gonna lease that property. I can tell y'all that now. They're not gonna lease nobody's property. They're gonna buy it right out. Politicians get announcements, economic development offices get a win, temporary. You know, investors that may be around here get their money off the top, and then later on down the line, like HEB, they'll shut it down. Oops, did I say that out loud? I did. Perry, you ready for your shot? Let me go ahead and put it up then.
I'm ready.
If only a minority of people support the rapid pace of these projects in some polling, why does the build out still sound so inevitable?
Because that's where the money is, and if you one of the first places you can look to is Wall Street. Much of the
Mm,
gains that we're seeing on Wall Street are related to AI related investments. And among those, the biggest is data centers. And so, uh, there is a plan that I think what in 2030 we're going to see at least an attempt to quadruple the number of data centers. And so, the part of this that sort of reminds me is all of us were around in the .net boom, and we saw that .net boom. We saw the .net bubble rise from 95 to maybe what late 2000s, and then we got the big burst. And so we've yet to see the AI bubble burst, but if history is any indicator, we know that is coming. And so the expectation for us will then be for those cities who have now invested their futures connected to data centers, when we know that, hey, I don't know, we may find out AI has a limit, and we don't need data centers now. All of a sudden, we're looking at some other medium. So it's pretty hard to tell at this point, but it just looks like this is another one of those 49er mentality times that we're reaching. Gold is in them their heels, and so people be damned. Let's just build.
Hmm. Hmm. Golly. 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 Yes, indeed, man. I mean, because like you said, inevitability is part of the sales strategy, right? They make it sound like it's gonna come regardless, or even like as if they have eminent domain power, right? And if the convincing um, portion of the public is this is coming anyway, people start negotiating against themselves. They think, we better take the deal before another city does, or before, like I said, we not getting nothing because now we in eminent domain.
Yeah, and it's
That
been the
that's
same playbook. It's been the same playbook uh because the tech industry follows this model first. Build first, define later.
mm,
So it puts it out in the wild, and then it's like, oh, wait, we shouldn't have put it out there like that. And then it begins to try to define itself. And so we're in a precarious position because we're dealing with precious resources, as you say. And so the ability to recover from mistakes when we have people who are trying to get political leverage and use political spin,
mm,
it's costing us dearly in this vein.
yeah. Guess question. This for you, chat, listeners, viewers, everybody around the table, including the crew. What sounds more insulting? Being told this is progress, or being told you should just trust people cutting the deals? Anybody want to respond to that at the table? If you ask me, that trust us part is the insult. That's what aggravates me to my core.
Yeah,
Trust without transparency is manipulation.
yeah, both of them an
Somebody,
insult. It's like asking you which side of the hand you want to get slapped with.
the white hand side or the black hand side, right? Wow, wow. And this one hurt worse if you believe it or not. This one hurt worse because I ain't nothing but knuckle, baby. Them knuckles gonna tear you up. But again, if the deal is clean, show it. If the benefits are real, prove it. If the jobs are strong, don't give us six of them. Don't give us 17. And on top of that, if you know you're coming or you're prospecting to come, how about 2 years before you come, you at least implement some type of curriculum in the local school districts, right? I didn't say build them a new gym. That ain't what I said. That ain't what I said at all. So don't ask communities to trust what leaders refuse to plainly explain. Dustin, you ready for your shot?
Indeed.
How do we help people connect AI hype to local power demand, local water use, and their own utility bills instead of treating them like they're separate stories, if you will?
As I always say, it start from the bottom. Start at home. Have a conversation with your kids. See what they know. Cause I've had conversations with my kids about a lot of stuff, and the things that they already uh have a grasp of, just be like, okay, we playing the same ball game. All right, cool, let's keep going forward. But talk to your kids, educate your family around. Y'all have little family group chats and meetups. Bring up the subject, see how they feel about it, and then once you get there, work your way up. Cause since the city of Beaumont like posting it, everybody seem to have a neighborhood association now. So go there, talk to them about it. What would happen if they try to bring it here to our
Yeah.
neighborhood? How do y'all feel about it? How would y'all vote on it? What we gonna do about it? Because eventually they're gonna try you. Cause they feel if they can put a refinery there, they can put a data center. So
Yeah.
once you move from your start there neighborhood, then make sure your city council damn sure know where you stand on it.
Mm,
You can fill all them
mm.
little 3 minutes up with talking about the same subject. Just write a different name down.
Yep. 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 And be daggum sure you ask in specifics if it has a big name like some of the corporations we see that's allegedly growing and having these transport centers and processing centers. Ask them for sure, is it a processing center or is it a data processing center? Because if it's not a line where people pulling item or product and putting it in a package, that's not the type of processing center we thought you was talking about. I'm just telling y'all how they sneak it in on you. And where it sits, it consumes. I just want y'all to know. Dr. Campbell, you ready for your shot?
Ben,
What does
okay.
it say that people are being asked to host these facilities while still getting vague language on job tax breaks and long-term community benefits?
It says they think you're cheap and easy. And not so many words, but that's the message. We'll take your land, your water, and your grid. In return, here's some fuzzy talk about jobs we can't define, tax benefits we won't detail, and a community partnership that really just means you stay quiet while we build.
Mm,
That yeah, that's vagueness. That vagueness is not an accident. It's a strategy. If they gave you real numbers, you'd ask real questions. If
mm,
they committed to real benefits, they'd have to deliver. So keep it blurry because blurry means pliable. You're not a partner in this, you're a host. And the host who's not allowed to see the guest list, the
mm.
menu, or the bill. That's not a partnership, that's a takeover with nice press releases. When the language stays vague, the answer stays clear. They don't want you to know what you're really giving up, and that's exactly why you should demand specifics before they break the ground.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't get a people poetry while the company gets a contract. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Somebody pull me up.
If the public is carrying the strain and the companies are carrying the growth story, who exactly is this boom being built for?
Sound like oh, I almost said something. My bad. I almost said something. Oh, I almost said sound like Spindletop, huh? um, if it's being built for whoever captures the value, that is the answer. 100%. If public, if the public carry grid strain, that's on them. While the company captures revenue, that's who it's built for. If the public um carries water loss, and I'm talking about not a risk of loss, I'm talking about loss. Your water um is looking worse than Louisiana hot sauce.
Mm.
Because we live among all different color dirts around these parts. So yeah, when your stuff come out looking like old ketchup water before you shake it. You know what I'm talking about? That color. Yeah, yeah. That they clearly don't care about that. I remember we told a council person here that, better yet, we told members of council, we told our entire council that, our water was brown. I remember telling them in 2009 that our water was brown. But when it exploded all over the city, that now individuals outside of South Beaumont or South End Beaumont, um, were not only smelling their water, but it looked like we had either vodka, reposado, tequila, or eventually tea on tap. And so, yeah, and that, we don't have a data center around here. We just going about our mere little way of living amongst chemical plants with buried water lines and funky tubs. I'm just trying to figure it out. So if public give tax breaks while the permanent jobs count is weak, who is it built for?
Hmm.
Especially if we give up land and control while investors that or investment opportunists get the money, and here it is, we don't get no buy-in, just like the bond issue, we didn't get no buy-in. Who gets who is it built for? Especially if we the residents face future bills of uncertain amounts, while executives get market expansion. Who this built for? I'm just wondering. Development should develop the people, not just the project. If the boom itself uh doesn't lower public risk, if you will, protect water, protects taxpayers, uh produce real local jobs, tangible jobs, uh pay fair shares of taxes, because that's what we're going through here in our county area and in our city area. Uh, I mean, like, are you planning on building local skills and leave the community stronger? Then um, stop calling it development, because that's not development. Call it resource capture with a ribbon cutting. That's what you can do, because that's what it is. I'm not asking whether AI companies can make money. That's obvious. We already know it can. But what we need to understand, or what we need to ask, is why the public should subsidize their appetite and then be told to wait for crumbs or nothing at all. If the public carries the strain, the public must receive at least some enforceable benefit, right? Something with some teeth and not no snatch outs, not vibes, not promises, not glossy brochures, and a once in a lifetime party or an engagement to coax our stomach like Pepto. Enforced benefit. Golly. Chat question number 2. Chat, be real, definitely be real. You already know. What feels hidden the most? Is it one, electrical demand? Is it two, water footprint? Is it 3, the tax incentives? Is it 4, the weak job promise? Or is it 5, all of the above? All of it together, rather. Drop your number. Crew, what you say?
All of it together.
All of it together. It go
Mhm.
together, put it together.
They don't hide one thing.
I mean,
They hide how it all connects.
all
So,
of it, Dr. Campbell. All of it. And they put
so
it
if
on the
they only
screen.
hit if they only hid the electricity, you notice when your bill spikes. If they only hid the water, you notice when the restrictions hit. If
Mm-hmm.
they only hid the tax breaks, you notice when your school budget got cut. If
Mm-hmm.
they only hid the job numbers, you notice when 1,000 jobs turned out to be 30 permanent positions. But when they hide all of it at once, you
Yeah.
can't piece it together. The bill goes up, you blame inflation. The water gets tight, you blame a drought. The schools lose funding, but you blame the state.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
school loses funding, but you blame the state. The jobs never show up, but you blame the economy. Meanwhile, they're silently taking a little bit from every pocket, and nobody
Oh,
sees the full picture until the data center's
nobody.
been running for 5 years, and your town is permanently poorer, drier, and more expensive.
Yep. Yep.
So, what's
Absolutely.
hidden in one fact is the whole story, and that's by design.
Always. Especially if you ain't paying attention. Especially if you ain't paying attention. Um, what I was gonna say.
Roundtable
Roundtable
question
question.
two.
Yep. At what point does economic development become a polite phrase for selling off public stability? Dr. Campbell, you have the floor.
The moment the fine print says temporary, but the consequences say permanent.
Hmm.
Economic development means stops being a promise and starts being a euphemism when the tax breaks are locked in for 20 years, but the community benefits expire in 5. The jobs are mostly construction, gone in 18 months, but water drain stays forever.
Mm-hmm.
The company can pack up and leave anytime, but the grid upgrades, road repairs stay on your table
Hmm.
or on your tab rather.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the land was farmland or forest before. Now it's concrete, and it's never going back.
Correct.
That's the switch. When the profits are temporary, but the burdens are permanent. Development is just a nice word for selling off what can't be replaced. You're not building a future. You're building a mortgage. You're mortgaging your stability for a lease that runs out before the damage does. And that's not progress. That's a bad deal with good marketing.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. 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 Perry, you got the floor.
I believe I've quoted it before, but this goes right back into that group when Stevie Wonder said, "When you believe in things that you don't understand, you suffer." And so, economic development. I mean, we have to address these issues that we have leaders that are very adept at using buzzwords
Mm-hmm.
in the right place, but not really knowing how to capture the essence of the buzzwords they're using.
Mm.
And so they, so you say economic development when you've not clearly defined what economics you're willing to put forth this development behind. How does that lay out? What does it, I mean, to everyone who's looking for better, yeah, economic development sounds like the thing we need to do. Just like community development sounds like
Mm-hmm.
a great way to build a community. But when you
Mm-hmm.
start talking community to development, then as they say, the devil is in the details, because
Yeah.
there begins to be very little detail, but a whole lot of promise.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you're left with a community that's trying to rebuild itself off of promises that could not be confirmed, off of economics that again was based off of some half-baked mathematical
Absolutely correct.
equation,
Absolutely correct.
using projections that did not exist, and was hopeful at best and laughable at worst.
Yep.
And so when you compound these efforts, you have to ask yourself again, does my classmate represent me well at this time?
Man, there you go again. Pair being messy, y'all. Cut him off.
If we
He
if
done,
we framing it in
he
my
ain't in.
classmate or my neighbor or my cousin, I
He
mean,
only
then
had two shots.
let me put the mute button on.
Man, man, Dustin. Oh man, what happened? Dustin fell off.
He
They
coming
captured
back.
Dustin. They captured Dustin.
Don't say it. He coming back.
I will say, especially like Perry said, these buzzwords, economic development becomes a sell off, if you will, when public stability is traded for private expansion. If Especially if that's the line, if a project threatens affordability, that's not development. If it stresses water security, that's not development. And as a consultant in development, I'm telling you, if it takes tax breaks without anything or enough in return, that's not development, y'all. I can't go into certain spaces, states, counties, and cities and say, I have a client that's gonna develop this, and this is what my client is offering, and not even have the idea to think about the people that actually live there. If it creates few permanent jobs, but huge public obligations, that's not development, y'all. If the public learns that the truth of the deal is shaped by deep pockets, that's not development. That's a sale. Power is stability. Water is stability. Land is stability. Air, land, water is law. I mean, affordable utilities are stability, y'all. And if you don't control it, if the local municipals, not municipalities, the local municipals, instead of calling them residents, if the local municipals don't control it, you done lost control. You done lost stability. You're not stable. Especially when Dustin's in the back. Yep, Dustin's in the background. Um, What I was saying. Oh yeah, when our leaders trade those things and call it progress, the public has gotten lost, and we definitely need to get loud. Let me say it again. But the municipals have gotten lost, and we need to get loud. So no, I'm not against economic development. I champion for economic development, but I'm definitely against development that develops everybody except the people who live there. I'm 100% against that. Tony, if you can hear us, Dustin's in the background or backstage. Come on, Icehead.
Oops.
You made me want some while you playing. Um, round three. Round three. Um,
Check the invoice.
yes, indeed, that's what it is. Round three is check your invoice. The bitterness on the rim is transparency, consent, and the real public price. Welcome back, Dustin.
Hand him a shot. He ready.
Man, you ready for your shot though?
I'm telling you, waiting for this thing to load. I was about to doze off.
What happens when communities start realizing the future they're being sold may come with a higher cost and less control?
First, in the day and age we are, there'll be about 24 hours of social media outrage, appropriate to the fact.
Hmm.
But hopefully after that, Festus, Missouri repeats itself. For those not familiar with good old Festus,
Said that. He said what he said. Come on.
for those y'all that ain't familiar with Festus, Missouri, let me give y'all some keynotes about it. So Festus decided to go ahead and out four of their incumbent city council members because they decided to vote on something the city did not believe in. So when it came re-election time, those four had to go. And so that was not enough because if you have count, there's more than four members to a city council. So they went on, filed some legislation, put in a little recall petition, and got the rest of the city council removed from office. Because, that's what happens. Oh, excuse me. City council and mayor removed.
The whole shebang.
Some people forget that the mayor exists outside of city council. So, you had to go get him too. And once that was done, they doubled back and filed some lawsuits against the city and developer. Because the wording, like the bonds we went through in locally, the wording was not clearly defined for the citizens' liking. So they refused to pay $6 billion tax bill on something they couldn't clearly define.
Understand. Yeah, absolutely. 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 They push back and they should. Every single time. People can feel some when something ain't being sold and when something ain't right, when something being sold too fast. You trying to sell me a lemon just because you repainted it? They may not know every utility item or every incentive rule, but they know when the story don't add up. They know when the bills are already precise, or you know what I'm saying? Like when leaders sound too eager, too anxious, if you will. Don't sell my community to a future I don't control. That's all I'm saying. Appreciate that. Dr. Campbell, you ready?
Oh yeah.
How dangerous is it when electricity, water, land, and political access are all being negotiated around the public instead of with the public?
It's not dangerous, it's hostile.
A
Because
hostile takeover.
yes. Because negotiating around the public isn't an oversight, it's a choice. It says you're not a participant, you're an obstacle to be managed.
Mm,
And here's how hostile it really is. Electricity gets rerouted to data centers while your neighborhood faces brownouts. You
mm,
don't get a vote, you get a notice. Water gets allocated to cooling towers while your town restricts lawn watering. You
mm-hmm,
don't get a seat, you get a restriction.
mm-hmm.
Land gets rezoned overnight for industrial use next to your home. You don't get input, you get a hearing at 3 p.m. on Tuesday that you can't attend.
Yeah, work.
Yeah, you at work. Uh-huh.
Or
Political
picking up the
access,
kids from school.
right. Political access gets balled with a campaign donations and lobbyists, while your city council says this is already decided. When all four negotiate around you, you're not a citizen anymore. You're a bystander in your own backyard. And the
Hmm.
real danger, once people realize that they're being treated like bystanders, they stop trusting everything, not just the project, but the process, the politicians, and the promises. That's not just a PR problem, that's a civic collapse waiting to
Mm-hmm.
happen.
Mm-hmm.
You negotiate with the public when you want their buy in, you negotiate around them when you've already decided their buy in doesn't matter. And that's the kind of arrogance that turns quiet towns into angry movements. And if
Absolutely.
it doesn't, it should.
Right. It is dangerous because that is how communities get dispositioned or disposed of by paperwork. That's that is public capacity being used without public power. And I don't, oh, I almost said something. I don't trust private profit to define public interest by itself. Especially if um I'm not on or one of the individuals that's in the perpetual end of receiving. I want to receive for blah, for perpetuity, if you will. Give it to me always. Don't just give it to me sometime. The guest question is for y'all listening and of course that are watching it. What should regular people be paying attention to right now, especially right now, that they are probably missing in this story? Who gonna hit that? Anybody want
The
to
rubber
shot
stamp
that?
moment. What
The
happened?
rubber stamp moments. The rubber stamp moments.
Yeah, that's what I see.
The
I see what I see.
rubber stamp.
While everyone's
Exactly.
arguing about AI and jobs, the real decisions are happening in boring meetings with forgettable names.
Hmm.
City council consent agendas. That 50-page package that they approve in 30 seconds. That that's where the tax breaks get locked in. The zoning board variances, minor adjustments that turn farmland into industrial zones overnight. Water permit applications buried in state agency websites with 15-day public comment periods you never know about unless you're obsessively refreshing. Utility commission filings where they negotiate priority power access long before your bill shows the hit. These aren't flashy. They don't make headlines. They're procedural grease and they happen fast. By the time you hear about the project on the news, the deals are already signed. So here's what to watch: your local government's meeting agendas, your public notice boards, your state environment agency dockets. Follow the money, but more importantly, follow the timeline. The battle isn't won at the groundbreaking, it's won or lost at the public hearing you didn't know was happening. That's what regular people are missing, and that's exactly how they want it.
Man, I heard everything you said, but I was plumb tickled at the 50 page packet that got approved in 3 seconds. I was floored
You know it
because
happens.
yeah, you have to watch. You gotta watch the document, the quiet documents, like
Mm.
because they don't always give you or allude to. There's a whole packet other than this little agenda that we posted. I just want you to know there's a whole packet that explains it all.
They have a
Zoning
meeting before the
agendas,
meeting and after the
correct,
meeting.
right? Call executive session sometime. Planning
Mm.
commission meetings, utility board decisions, water permits, tax abatements, economic development meetings, land purchases. What they call it when the city annex that right there. Don't want nobody to be a part of them no more. Annex. I mean, like, make it make sense. Meeting by meeting, document by document, make it make sense. Period. Your shot, you ready?
Yes, sir.
What does it say about this country that so many communities are being told to trust, and I do mean trust with all their might, about the giant private in infrastructure projects they already do not want nearby? Trust it though. I just want you to trust it.
Um, I think what it is a continued wearing down of the public.
Mm,
Mm.
Uh, 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 especially on the public psyche now, where you have uh many homes or many families, especially those where there were federal workers, uh, uh, and even those within the tech industry now,
mm.
who are facing uncertain times, and so what what capitalism has always and relied on is just this wearing down. You went from families where there was one breadwinner to now you got two breadwinners, to where now you almost have two breadwinners working to having multiple jobs,
Mm,
Mm.
mm-hmm,
or
mm-hmm,
I got demanding jobs and I have kids with responsibilities, and I want to be this good parent, connected, and so I have my social
mm-hmm.
responsibilities. Wherein does that person now have the time to really combat the issues that really impact all that they love?
Hey man, I promise.
And so that's where you begin to see that this was just not a flaw, this was a feature,
Mm,
a built-in feature of the system. That, yes, let me make things so hard that a data center, I don't even know, for most people, they can't even fathom how data center even factors into their life.
Mm.
They hear
And it's gonna be
AI,
like that
but
for a while.
yeah, they hear AI, but right now the only AI they using is to manipulate their their images on Facebook. I
Hey
mean, you
Siri.
you got you got folk now just having a heyday trying to show themselves in the 1940s when damn it you fighting against them taking you back to the 1940s. What is this? And so AI, yeah, it does. It brings out that part of us that makes us think more about being consumers than being advocates, than being purchasers rather than owners, than signing contracts rather than making agreements and alliances. It exposes us for the very, and again, like I say, we have leaders that don't understand only to expose us to the very things that are tearing away at the threads of our culture.
The very existence of us, period. Yeah. Yeah. Golly, man. Y'all came to slay tonight. I just want y'all to know that. I just want y'all to know that. Y'all came to slay tonight. Look, I'm not gonna write no more hard questions for y'all, okay? I'm not gonna write no more hard questions for y'all. I'm not gonna even do it. I'm not gonna even do it. Man, somebody pump me up. Golly.
Uh-oh, I lost my spot.
Golly.
Siri. Uh, I don't have it.
Anybody gonna pump me up?
Okay, I'll pour it up.
Yeah,
Pull me
you good,
up,
because I
If
don't
the
Kevin.
have it.
okay, if the grid is being stretched, the water is being leaned on, and the public is being told to get out of the way for AI, when do we stop calling that progress and start calling it what it is? A public sellout with a glassy label.
We call it a sellout moment. Um, Public resources, the moment public resources are committed without public power. And I've been hearing that throughout the entire evening. That's the line. I'm not about to give you something not knowing that I'm not getting anything out of it, with the exception of unstable in all my ways. If the grid is stretched and the people have no protection, that's a sellout. If the water is leaned on and the community has no guarantee that they water will not be contaminated in any way, shape, form, and or fashion, or decreased in any way, shape, form, and or fashion, that is a sellout. We see the sellout happening, especially if you live along the Gulf Coast in the industrial beltway or the industrial corridor of the American South. Uh, if the tax breaks are private and the cost are public, that is a sellout. 100%. Especially when it comes to land that's transformed from residential to light industrial or heavy commercial or whatever you want to call it, where it once was residential spaces, multi-dwelling spaces, zoned residential or multi-dwelling. That's not protection, y'all. That's not preservation. That's a sellout. You have some of the oldest churches in the city, and next thing you know, you look up. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Because that's a sellout. That's a sellout, y'all. If the future is built on our resources, but we don't control the terms, that's a sellout. And I need people to really stop being intimidated by the word AI. AI does nothing great. It does not get to be the new magic word that shuts down public questioning. We have seen this before, especially if you an 80s baby. If you older, you done seen it a bunch of times before. So they said industrial progress, communities got polluted. They said urban renewal, right? Communities got displaced. They said economic development, corporations got tax breaks and residential spaces got crumbs, or if that. They said energy independence, that came with fence line communities to, to those same energy producing industries, and them individuals got sick or was put at risk, or what I like to throw in some individuals' face, a sacrifice zone with no environmental impact study whatsoever. Mm, and then now they saying, it's nothing but artificial intelligence. And I really got to ask the question: who owns intelligence? Who owns the intelligence if the public is left paying for the artificial part? Who got the smarts if we left paying for the artificial one? We graduate so that we could be told what to do by AI. Because if it's artificial to cause something progress when the people carrying the cost cannot name the benefit, it is artificial to call it development. When water gets thinner, the grid gets tighter, and the tax base obviously gets negotiated away, completely away. They don't pay for nothing. It's
And doesn't it
artificial
really
to
set
tell.
that doesn't it really set the bar low to say that you're intelligent just because you told me some shit I didn't know?
That's why I've been laughing at y'all this whole time. This whole
Real
evening, I
low.
will definitely say y'all came to slay. Y'all came to slay. Not play with these questions. Y'all definitely came to slay. Chat question number 3, y'all. What should communities demand first? Put a 1 in the chat for full transparency on water and power usage. Put a 2 in the chat for public review of tax breaks and incentives. Put a 3 in the chat for real local consent. Put a 4 in the chat for stronger limits. And put a 5 in the chat for all of the above. Of course, I had to drop all of the above with this conversation on this evening. Roundtable question number 3. Is, if the future keeps arriving as a burden on the people instead of a benefit to the people, what exactly are we being asked to support? You go ahead, answer that and that chat question too, if y'all like. I'm posting that in the chat right now.
The chat question is number 5, and you can't have one without all the other ones. So, and so then for the roundtable question, um, we're being asked to support a subscription to somebody else's wealth,
Mm-hmm.
not a future, not progress, just a monthly payment plan with our water, our wattage, Our quiet towns, our tax dollars, so a handful of shareholders can call it a win. If the
Mm.
future shows up and our bills are higher, our wells are lower, our schools are poor, our voice is smaller, and the only people visibly better off are the ones who never had to ask permission, then that's not a future. That's a hostile takeover disguised as a milestone. So,
That
what are
part.
we being asked to support? Honestly, our own replacement.
Hmm.
As the people who matter in the story of where we live. And the only sane answer to that is no thanks. Show me the future where I'm better off, or stop asking for my silence.
No bueno. That's what she said. No bueno.
No bueno.
Perry, you got the floor. I think you muted.
Now I'm gonna let Dr.
Okay,
Campbell have it because I'm gonna wait until our closing for mine.
that. Oh, he definitely trying to be messy. Dustin, you got the
I
floor.
got my own little flasky on the side, so I'm gonna just say
Dustin, you got the floor.
I feel as if we're being asked to support the continual failures of a slowly dying breed of stupidity.
And then he muted himself. Oh, oh my goodness, man. We're being asked to support somebody else's expansion plan. That's what I would say. Even when it comes to, again, individuals saying that this is a matter of national security. For who? I'm always ask that, for who? National security for who? Because um, that's what, you know. That's what we should do. Is question. We're sup- we are obviously supporting transfer. If companies get to prioritize our power while households worry about bills that is transferred. Better yet, when households got to worry about the lights even staying on. Here in the state of Texas, with a good breeze on a sunny day come through, you might just go through a blackout, or like Dr. Campbell say, a brownout. Oh, and don't let the strong wind come through. Oh, and don't let nobody be negligent and hit the pole.
Mm.
You gonna almost be out that entire day. So 24 hours at the least. I mean, I'm just saying, if the future want public resources, the future owes public return, not slogans. Return. Protect the grid, protect the water, protect us as the taxpayer, protect the land, respect the land, as well as protect the public revenue. I mean, like, protect the worker and protect the right of residents to say no when the deal does not serve them or us. Because the future is not sacred because it's new. And innovation is not holy because billionaires say it is. The people have the right to inspect the future before it moves in, at least next door, before it move in with them. I'm just saying. Um, yeah. Dr. Campbell, give us something that's gonna wrap us up the week for the rest of the week. Perry, you can follow, then Dustin, and then I'll follow you, little brother. Dr. Campbell, you have the floor.
Well, I just want to tell everybody, just stay cognizant. If the future can't be explained to the people who have to live in it, it's not a plan, it's a heist. So stay loud, Stay local and never trust anyone who's asking for your silence before they ask for your land.
Absolutely. Perry,
Perry.
you had the floor.
Yeah, I just want to say, while we focus on the local, uh, we we need to connect the dots to a long storied history that we all know, and that is that the world thrives on extracting resources from our homeland, our motherland, Africa. Uh, in the Congo, which represent about 10% of the global carbon imprint because of its forests and ecosystem, is under attack because cobalt and titanium and another element that's used for uh, phones and electronic uh, batteries are now putting that much needed resource in danger, and that's on a global impact.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so when we begin to look at again at how this impacts us as African Americans, as uh, minorities within uh, unsubsidized communities and left out communities, we must really now begin to find ways to find alliances, because despite what we may not want to believe, Africa is still our lifeline, our global lifeline, and our inability to reconnect on this very integral part of developing trade, of developing alliances, uh, outside, and this is on a personal level. I mean, we must begin to understand what Patrice Lumumba was trying to do and how impactful that was in connecting the gaps in the diaspora in an economic sense.
Mm.
And so, when we're looking at this in these data centers, yeah, I mean, they are trying to erase history. They're trying to erase alliances and compound impact.
Mm.
So I
Dustin.
leave it with that.
Dustin, you had the floor.
As I was scrolling social media, I came across this phrase that I heard. It was a little AI computer thing that somebody made some reels out of. And it's these two gentlemen walking around at a park playing basketball with kids, and it made me think of some incidents that went on this past weekend. Adults, the phrase is, don't plant trauma where kids come to grow.
My God, Dustin.
True.
Wow, Dustin. And he said, let that sit with you.
Hmm.
Oh, run that one more time. Quote that in, quote that.
The quote is, "Don't plant trauma where kids come to grow."
Where kids come to grow.
Man,
Mm, mm, mm. Stay prayed up.
I mean, I mean, I mean.
He said what he said.
Oh man, I want to give communities some arms. If I could, not violent arms, but civic arms. You got to make that clear in today's society, especially being a black man, a man of color, a negroid. You definitely have to let people know that you are not issuing any type of go word for civil disobedience or civic unrest. And so that I just want y'all to know that's not what I'm doing. But I definitely want to equip my community with public defense arms because if billion-dollar companies come with lawyers, lobbyists, engineers, and all those other individuals, including consultants like individuals like myself, political friends, and then communities needs tools too. So I got three of them. Demand a public resource impact statement. I heard my co-host mention that. Not a brochure, a real statement. How much electricity, how much water, how much land, what's your cooling process, what's the footprint, where you gonna build at, what's gonna be around it, are you gonna plant trees, everything. Ask, what's your emergency services impact? You got an evacuation route? And I don't care what it is, it don't have to be just a data center. These are questions that you definitely need to be asking for anything that's imposing or acquisitioning space around your communities. What's the road impact? What's the noise impact? What's the heat impact? What's the environmental risk? Put it in plain language because they're going to definitely try to put it in scientific terminology. And it's going to go over the heads of many. Unless they go ahead and take a picture of it and send it to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, how does this negatively affect me and my community? That same data center, you could ask it how to shut itself down. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Because if yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ask Siri, huh?
I'm just saying, family tonight was not not anti-technology. That was definitely not the. I'm not for that. But this was an anti-sellout episode. This was not an anti AI or the AI is scary episode, with the exception of, I don't know if y'all know, lately in the news, the bots are being issued to individuals. And I'm talking about the humanoid bots that they have with AI already uploaded. Some of them are going online for individuals in the community. My money is not that much wasted. So I'll just continue to use the little monies that they do give me on my bills and things of such. But this was an appetite, an AI appetite. You know what I'm saying? This was not Stop the Future. This episode was use the invoice before you build on the alleged future on the backs of us, of our community. By the end of tonight, I hope and I pray that somebody that the AI data center boom is not just a technology story. Please realize that. We touched on it a little bit a while back in a previous episode where we talked about how they were encroaching in the Memphis area. It's a power story, a water story, a land story, a tax story, an erasure story, a public accountability story. This grid is not abstract. The water we get is not abstract. The land we have is not abstract. I mean, the bills still come. The pressure gonna be there. The public risk is there. So let me bring this to you nicely, if I could. Don't let them sell you the future without showing you the invoice.
Mhm.
If you, I mean, don't let them take water and call it innovation. Don't let them scratch the grid or stretch the grid and scratch the surface of minerals to create and consume power. Don't let them tax breaks uh, or and call it partnership with you because they're not gonna fix your road. They're not gonna fix your water line. They're not gonna fix your sewer line. They're not gonna keep you from flooding. They're not gonna keep you from going into drought conditions. Because regular people understand resources. Regular people understand bills. Regular people understand drought, especially especially around here. When you can't when you go through a storm and your water gets shut off for 7 to 9 days. Regular people understand when something is being taken. And regular people have every right to demand the truth. Every single right. If the grid and the water are for sale, somebody needs to answer. Who sold them? Tonight, I'm asking every community watching, check the invoice, follow the water, watch the grid. I mean, read the tax details. Demand consent with the individuals that's in these elected and appointed positions. Because if private companies want the bill on public capacity, then the public gets to ask the public questions. To my co-hosts, Dr. Catherine Campbell, Perry, and Dustin, thank y'all for bringing your minds, your honesty, and your fire. Thanks for the laughs on tonight. Straight gut punch, I'm telling you. I think it's a little bit too soon, but this little trend I'm thinking in my head right now, it's gonna come about. Y'all gonna be like, "What did he say?" To every viewer and listener, thank you for sitting with a conversation that refuses to be hypnotized by word innovations. Right? This has been episode 66. The grid and water is for sale, y'all, and it's going to the highest bidder, and we are not even the considered. Until next time, protect the grid, protect the water, protect the land, protect the people, and do not let anybody, and I do mean anybody, sell your community's future without showing you the invoice or the bill. And as always, stay prayed up, stay prayed up, stay prayed up. Thank y'all for watching. God bless y'all. Good night.